Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Hi, hey, hello, how are ya? And welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going through every single book on my Kindle TBR. These are all books that I own, I have purchased on Kindle, but I have yet to read. According to my Kindle, I have 65 unread Kindle books. So I'm gonna go through these as fast as I can because I've realized through the process of filming and editing that I actually feel like I talk so slow on camera. Like in person, I feel like I talk way faster, but I think sometimes I'm just like trying to like figure out what I'm gonna say, and so my words just like come out slower, and then my videos are like way longer than I want them to be. So I'm gonna do my best to get through these as fast as possible, so here we go. Okay, the first one that I have yet to read on Kindle is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I believe that this is the second book in a series, but it's like a companion novel, so it's totally fine if you don't read the first one. The first one just like didn't sound super interesting to me, so I bought the second one, and I've yet to read it. But it sounds cute. I feel like everyone was raving about it a couple months ago, so I gotta read that. By the way, most of these books I have purchased when they were on sale or with gift cards. Not that that really matters, but like that's just how I do it because I'm not made of money. So I do my best to just follow all of the Kindle sales like literally every day, and if something pops up that I've been wanting to read that's on sale, then I'll snag it. So most of these books I actually got for like in between like $2.99 and like 99 cents. So that's a plus. Like if you want to like get into having a lot of books on your Kindle, I suggest following the sales every day because you'd be surprised. Like a book that's regularly like $12.99 on Kindle can be like $2.99, but it's only for a day, so you gotta like catch it, you know? Anyway, the next one is The Inheritance Games and then The Hawthorne Legacy. I've bought the first two. I do want to read all of them, but I just have the first two right now. Then I've got The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I believe that's a series too. I haven't started that. I feel like I've heard mixed reviews on the first book at least, but I don't know, it sounds interesting. And then I have The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I know that that is also a series that a lot of people were talking about a couple months ago, and I want to get into that one as well. I was like, you know, a Hunger Games style competition, vampires, sign me up. Yeah, good to go. Then I have Hello Girls by Emily Henry and Brittany Cavallero. That's the only Emily Henry book that I haven't read. I've read all of her books, and as far as I know, this is the only one that she's co-authored with somebody else. And it sounded interesting. I think it's about like spies or something, so that is on my TBR. Then I have Yoke by Mary H.K. Cho. I've heard good things about that one. I feel like it won like a Goodreads Choice Awards or something. So that sounds interesting to me. Then I have a whole bunch of Agatha Christie books that they just frequently go on sale because they're literally so old. So I just snatch them up when I can. I've got The Deadly Affair, which is a short story compilation book. And I think it's all like murder mysteries / mysteries that like have to do in one way or another with romance, which I thought was very interesting because I love mystery, I love romance, love Agatha Christie. So about that. Then in the Poirot series, I have The Mystery of the Blue Train, Lord Edgware Dies, Murder in Mesopotamia, and The Haunting of Venice, which I've already read. But yeah, I haven't read any of those ones yet, so it says that those are 6, 9, and 14 in the series, but the order in which the books go is actually like highly debated because there's a lot of short story collections that were added to the Poirot series later on or whatever, so it's hard to tell like the actual order you're supposed to read them in. Then I have 3 from Agatha Christie's Miss Marple series. I have Sleeping Murder, 450 from Paddington, and The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side. Then I have one of her standalones called Passenger to Frankfurt. That concludes the Agatha Christie section. Next up, I have The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. I could be saying that wrong, but that one sounded really interesting to me. I know that it's about people that eat books as their like food, and whatever genre they eat is like what they're consuming. It becomes like part of their personality or something. That sounds kind of wild, but it sounded really interesting to me. Then I have Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I've only read one other Alice Feeney book. I read Daisy Darker at the beginning of this year and I really enjoyed it, so I bought this one, thought it sounded good. Then I have the Book of Lost and Found by Lucy Foley. I have read The Guest List, The Paris Apartment, and The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, and I highly, highly enjoyed all of those. Highly recommend them. I gave them all like between 5 and 4 stars, so I feel like that one will be good too. Then I have Olive by Emma Gannon. I know that I saw it in Barnes & Noble and I read the back of it and I was like, that sounds really interesting. So I put it on my Kindle wish list and then I bought it eventually. And now I don't remember what it was about, but I do want to get to that one at some point in the next year. Then I have Once Upon a Broken Heart and the Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I really want to read the Caraval series first. I know I've heard that like you don't need to read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series because it's like a spin-off, but I just feel like if there's more information about the world that I could glean from the previous books to take into the next series, like why not do that, you know? So I currently have Caraval on hold at the library and I'll be getting it within the next couple weeks. Then I have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I believe it's about Dracula's first wife, and that sounded like real interesting, so I picked that up. Then I have The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. I bought this earlier in the year because I read this book called Gothel that was amazing. It was about like the origins of like Mother Gothel from like Tangled Rapunzel, you know? And I wanted to find more books like that were kind of like a new twist or take on like a legend or a fairy tale, and that one came up in the related book, so I don't know what it's about, but I've heard that it gives the same vibes, so that's exciting. Then I have How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. I read The Bradleys by Matt Haig this year, and oh my gosh, I was obsessed with that book. Like, it was actually so good, and I feel like I've never heard anybody talk about it, which stinks. So then I bought How to Stop Time because I was like, I like his writing, so like, let's go, let's try another one. Then I have The Familiars by Stacey Halls. Again, has something to do with like witches or magic or whatever, so I was like, all right, sign me up. Next I have The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I know that at this point, I feel like everyone's read this book, but I still haven't, and I keep meaning to, so that's on the list. Then I have Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover. I don't actually know, like I feel like this one is actually a novella that connects to another book, and I don't remember what it is. Maybe it's Hopeless? I could be wrong, but to be honest, I don't really know when I'm gonna get around to that because I have read quite a few Colleen Hoover books and we're on a break, me and Colleen, so I don't know when I'm gonna get to that one. Then I have Watching You by Lisa Jewell. I feel like her books have been really popular this year within the last couple years, so I want to get to that one. Then I have Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez and Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I've not read any of her books, but I've heard lots of people say lots of good things about them, so I really want to get into those within the next year. Then I have Guild by Raven Kennedy. I know that's a part of a series that people talk about, and I want to see what the hype is. I feel like I need to broaden my horizons when it comes to fantasy because at this point, I've only read Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, I think. So I feel like I want to like expand. So I feel like that's the theme. Like there's lots of fantasy books on here that I haven't read yet, but like I really want to get into them because I want to be able to have more to like compare the ones that I will be reading to. You know what I mean? Then I have The Plot by Jean Hanff Corlentz. That was probably not how you say their name. But I remember reading the plot for it at some point and it sounded interesting, so I bought it. Then I have The Quarry Girls by Jess Lowry. I feel like that one was about like a group of girls that goes missing or something. and I just remember it's a mystery. So I want to read that one. Then I've got Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I've yet to read that series because I am still making it through Throne of Glass. Don't hear that as like an anti-endorsement for Throne of Glass. I actually think it's an amazing series. But like I've said, the tandem read is seriously kicking my butt. So then yeah, I'm currently reading Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, and then after that I will have Kingdom of Ash to read. Then I have Never Lie by Frida McFadden. That will be my first Frida McFadden book. I've never read any of her work, but I've heard she's amazing. I know that Sarah Caroli loves her, and my mom really likes her too, so I really want to read that. Then I have If I Never Met You and Mad About You by Mari McFarlane. I could totally be saying that incorrectly. I know that her name is like Scottish and it isn't pronounced phonetically, but I'm doing my best. I read Just Last Night by her last year and I really, really enjoyed it. Like, I feel like maybe it's supposed to be marketed as a romance, but it was really a lot more like a literary fiction and I really enjoyed that. Then I have Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I feel like I've seen a lot of booktubers read that within the last couple years, so that's on the list. Then I have The Age of Witches by Louisa Morgan. Again, clearly you can tell early in the year I was in a witch book buying era. Then I have The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I know that Sarah Caroli just went through the series and was super obsessed with it and got Destiny Sidwell to start reading it, so I want to read it too. Sounds really interesting. I believe it's a trilogy. Then I have Ithaca by Claire North. I originally bought that because I was like, okay, it's a part of this whole like retelling of like legends and stories, you know, when I read Gothel. But now I'm like even more excited to read it because I think it centers around like Greek gods, and having read Circe in October, that seems just like even more interesting to me now. Then I have If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin. I've heard that that book is really sad, but also really good. So I do want to read it at some point. Then I have The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I feel like the plot for that sounded really cute. So I love forced proximity trope. I'm excited to read that. Then I have Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. Hot take. Last year I read Better Than the Movies and I did not like it. I just think that YA romance is not for me. Like, I can do YA fantasy, but I can't do YA romance. And I just did not like it. And I know that everyone loves that book. But when I found out that she had a couple new adult romances, I was like, okay, I'll try that out. So I haven't yet because honestly I've been scared because I have such feelings about Better Than the Movies. But I'm willing to try it. So I have Mr. Wrong Number. Then I have Indigo Ridge and Juniper Hill by Devney Perry. It's saying that there are 6 items. There are 6 books in that series. So I didn't realize that. I thought there were only like 3 or 4. That's intimidating. I have the first 2 because I originally accidentally bought the second book thinking that it was standalone or that it was the first book. So I have those 2. I do want to get into those at some point within the next year. Then I have Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. At this point, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what the synopsis was, but it sounded interesting, clearly, so I bought it. Then I have I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This is the only nonfiction book that I have on here, but I listened to this podcast called A Beautiful Mess. It's by these 2 bloggers. They're sisters, and they're huge fans of him. They've actually had him on their podcast multiple times. And I don't know, his financial advice sounded really good, so I bought his book and I've yet to read it, but I want to. Then I have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Yeah, I still haven't read that. I know everybody and their mother has read Archer's Voice, and I've heard that it's sad and it will really get you, but I'm scared. That's why I haven't started it, but I want to. I do want to. I want to be able to say that I have read it, you know? Then I have The Confidence of Wildflowers by Michaela Smeltzer. since buying this book, I've heard things about it that make me feel like I really might not like it, but I already have it, so I do want to read it. I know it's the first one in a series, and if I don't like it, then I'm just not going to read the other ones. But I do want to actually read this one, so I know what everyone's talking about. Then I have The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I want to say when I read the plot of it, it kind of reminded me of the movie Ready or Not, which is like one of my favorite movies. I love it so much. But then with more of like a mystery element, not just like scary horror, you know what I mean? Then I have Water Under the Bridge and Our Scorching Summer by Kels and Denise Stone. I do want to read these ones, but like because Our Scorching Summer also like obviously takes place during the summer, I'm waiting until next summer for that, so I'll read them in the next year probably. Then I have Funny You Should Ask by Eliza Sussman. I feel like this one was popular a long time ago, but I still want to read it to know, you know, what's the haps. Not that anyone says that. I do, I guess. Okay. Then I have The Marlowe Murder Club by Robert Thorogood. I want to say the plot kind of reminded me of like The Thursday Murder Club and Crooked House by Agatha Christie, and I love both of those, so I picked that one up. Then I have A Fatal Affair and The Good Lie by A.R. Torr. Last year I read Every Last Secret, and wow, that book was crazy. What a wild ride. And so I was like, well, I really like their writing, so I bought 2 more of their books. Then I have The Layover by Lacey Walden. I read From the Jump by Lacey Walden this year, and it wasn't my favorite. Like, it was one of those books where you're like, there's not really anything wrong with this, but it's just like I'm not vibing with it. So I'm less excited to read that because I don't know. It could have totally just been a plot thing, but I just get scared that it's like an author thing. You know what I mean? Then I have In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I am really excited to read that one. I feel like everyone talks about it and puts it in the like thriller / dark academia category, which is not something I've delved into because it seems like something I wouldn't totally love, but I really want to read that one. I know my mom read it recently, so that one's on the docket for the next couple months. Then lastly, I have A Murder of Crows by Sarah Yarwood Lovett. I know that that is also the first of a series, and it sounded really interesting and fun, so I got that one too. Anyway, those are all the books on my Kindle TBR. I'm really overwhelmed yet excited to get to those soon. So, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. Tell me what's on your Kindle TBR in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye!